In this video, I'm going to share with you how to successfully potty train your toddler at night. Hello and welcome to the vlog. My name is Heaven and I'm going to help you with one of the most challenging tasks as a parent, potty training your toddler. I'm going to share with you how we successfully nighttime potty trained our 2-year-old son Noah in just a few short nights and give some tips on how you can do the same so that everyone can get some much needed sleep. Before you can begin nighttime potty training, you must have either completed or made some progress in daytime potty training. If you've mastered daytime potty training, that's great, but if not, and you're in the process and you want to tackle both daytime and nighttime potty training at the same time, it's completely possible. I know because we did it. If you haven't began daytime potty training or haven't made any progress, I encourage you to check out my last 2 videos in this series as well. I will always tell you that patience, communication, and timing are key in the potty training process. And that's for toddlers of both genders, all ages, and all abilities. Your toddler has to be able to communicate with you in some type of way, either verbally, by signing, or by using manipulatives. You must be patient and your toddler must be ready. So, now that that's been said, let's move on. Once your toddler has begun to grasp going to the potty in the daytime and understands the concept, you can begin nighttime potty training. One very good way to tell that your toddler is ready for nighttime potty training is that they can hold their bladder for a few hours at a time, and they can also sometimes wake up dry, which means they do not wet the bed throughout the night. Of course, sometimes this is natural and it may occur, especially if you haven't actually begun nighttime potty training or you're just now beginning daytime potty training. So if your toddler does still wet the bed and they don't always wake up dry, that's completely okay. But again, if they have begun to grasp the concept of daytime potty training and they can hold their bladder for a few hours at a time, then you can still begin nighttime potty training. Always set the tone. Let your toddler know in advance how things are going to go and set realistic and firm expectations from the start. You can say something like, "You're doing such a great job with your potty training sessions. I am so proud of you and I knew you can do it. You can do anything you put your mind to. Now you're ready for the next step. Because you've been doing so great with your potty training, you're now ready to start wearing your underpants at night. But remember, you have to try and keep them dry. It's okay to wake mommy or daddy if you have to go to the potty, but try to keep your underpants dry." Once the tone is set, give your toddler an adequate amount of hydration throughout the day and then withhold all drinks and beverages within 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. If your toddler normally goes potty about every 2 hours, then you want to make sure that you're withholding beverages about 2.5 hours prior to bedtime. If your toddler normally goes to the potty about 3 hours or more, then you want to make sure that you're withholding beverages at least 3.5 hours prior to bedtime. The goal is that they will have time to empty their bladders before they go to sleep, and without any more beverages, they should be good through the night. If your toddler can't hold their bladder for 2 to 3 hours or more, or even really 3 to 4 hours, then they may not be ready for nighttime potty training. But that is not for certain, so you should definitely still try. If you nurse your toddler to sleep or throughout the night, they may also not be ready to nighttime potty train. But again, that is not for certain, and you should still give it a try. Maybe just give your toddler a chance to go potty during your mid-nighttime sessions. Next, invest in some waterproof mattress covers and sheets and have clean bedding set aside and readily accessible just in case. Do not use pull-ups because this will give your toddler more comfort and even confuse them. Either the pull-up will absorb any dampness so that your toddler won't even be bothered with it and may still use it, or they will know that because they have the pull-up on, they'll just assume that they have the choice to use it. So, try to use underwear or bare bottom at night. They will remember the feeling, and if they do have an accident, the wet blankets or underwear will provide a sensation of uncomfortableness for them to probably wake you up so that you can acknowledge it, clean them up, and they will surely remember the experience and hopefully try to avoid it next time. If your toddler does have an accident, that is okay. Just clean it up. Don't make a big deal out of it or get upset. Just talk to your toddler, reset the expectations, and continue to run the course. If they do wake up dry, do make it a big deal. Praise them heavily. Give them a reward, a sticker, a snack, one of their favorite toys, whatever you have to do to let them know that what they've done was a really huge big deal and it was a really great thing, so that you can encourage them to continue this success. Make sure that you stay consistent, continue to run the course, and the next few nights just continue to monitor them, continue to set the expectations, continue to remind them, and whenever they have success, continue to praise them. If after a few nights your child continues to have accidents, that's okay too. Just reassess your routine to see what could be the issue. And then you'll just need to revamp it a little. For instance, you may need to withhold liquids a little bit earlier in the night compared to your daytime potty training success, or they may need a little more time. And it's okay if it does take a little longer, even if they aren't ready. Another thing that you could do is wake your toddler once per night to give them an opportunity to use the potty. Now, I do not recommend this method. I know a lot of people, they do this, but me personally, this is not something that we did, and this is not something that I will recommend. But if this is something that might work well for you, then go ahead and give it a try, because remember, every family is different, every toddler is different, so potty training is going to look different for every family. So if your toddler continues to have accidents at night and you've stepped back and you reassessed your routine, you revamped it a little bit, and you haven't had any success, if you would like to try waking your toddler up once every night to give them an opportunity to use the potty, then go ahead and give it a try. You may have some success with it. Though the reason why I do not recommend it is because typically if you have to wake your child in the middle of the night, they haven't had any beverages a few hours before bedtime, and they're still having accidents through the night, it could be a sign that maybe they just aren't able to hold their bladder, or a sign that they just aren't ready for nighttime potty training. Forcing a milestone that we're ready for, but our children aren't ready for, can be a really stressful time for us and for our child. And it can also create a negative experience for both of you when you're ready to try again. So I always say that timing is key, and I always say that you never should ever force a milestone on your toddler if they're not ready just because we're ready. Furthermore, waking our child in the middle of the night can disrupt their sleep pattern and sleep stages, which are so important and crucial for child development during this time. Either you're waking them in the middle of the night to give them a chance to go potty, or they're waking you up in the middle of the night, or waking themselves up in the middle of the night because they've wet their underwear and their bed is wet and there's nothing to absorb it. Either way, all three are sleep disruptors that doesn't help anyone get any sleep, and can also be negative on your child's development if they aren't getting the necessary sleep that they need. If you have to wait a few more months, that is completely okay, especially if they have mastered daytime potty training. They will soon get this too eventually. One of the most important things during this nighttime potty training, which I didn't mention yet, is to make sure that the potty and the bathroom are easily accessible and well lit. This way, if your child does wake themselves to go to the potty and to go to the restroom, they can do so without being afraid of the dark, and it won't be too far for them to access it. Always, 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 and I will say this 1,000 times throughout this series, be sure to offer a ton of praise, rewards, and encouragement, and not just for the toddler, but also for ourselves. We also have to praise ourselves, encourage ourselves, and reward ourselves, because we're in this together. We're teaching our child a new milestone, and it's not an easy thing. Every bit of success deserves recognition, and it deserves praise for us and for our toddler. And these I cannot stress enough. So now I'm going to explain how we nighttime potty trained our 2-year-old son, Noah. He's 3 now, but we did this when he was 2 years old. So we decided to tackle nighttime and daytime potty training at the same time. I encourage you to check out our daytime potty training schedule and our daytime potty training tips and how we potty trained Noah in just under a week. In that video, you can get a bit of a background of how daytime potty training went, as well as some tips for success. And I also talked about what we were doing through the night. So now I am just going to reiterate more in depth what we did for his nighttime potty training. So The very first disclaimer I would like to give is that we did not fill him up on liquids outside of what his normal eating and drinking schedule was. I know some people do this, and if you do, and if that's something that worked for you, then that's wonderful. The only reason that we did not do this is because we really needed to know, and this is something that will be helpful for nighttime potty training, what his bladder capacity was. We needed to know how long he could go holding his bladder and how often he would need to use the potty. And if we were giving him more liquids or less liquids than what we normally give him throughout the day, there would be no way for us to really truly know what his bladder capacity was. So we just fed him and gave him water, just how we normally would. We didn't give him any more to encourage him to use the bathroom. So on day 1, when we did the nighttime potty training, we had full success during our daytime potty training sessions. We introduced him to the potty a few months before we actually began potty training so that he can get acquainted with it. And then once we actually began potty training, we knew that he was ready. He already knew what the potty was. He knew what it was for. And so we had a lot of success with our daytime potty training. Because he didn't have any accidents during the daytime, we decided to go ahead and give nighttime potty training a try. The first night, we decided to use a cloth diaper. We did not utilize cloth diapers anytime throughout his infancy. We tried it for about a couple of days, and it just didn't work well for us. So for him, a cloth diaper, it's not a diaper. It's just equivalent to underwear, except it's a lot more absorbent. So that just gave me a bit of peace of mind knowing that if he did have an accident in the middle of the night, at least he would still be comfortable. He wouldn't get any diaper rashes, and he wouldn't completely ruin the bedding to where it would take a lot for us to get him settled back down and to sleep. Because again, I talked about how I just don't really like having to disrupt their sleep patterns when it's so very important in child development. With that being said, we did wake him one time in the middle of the night, the first night that we nighttime potty trained him. I was so worried and I was a little bit anxious, and I wanted to give him the opportunity to use the bathroom at night. This is something that I've heard a lot of other parents do. This is something that they've had success with, so I figured, why not try it? The only way that you will know what works for you and your family is if you try it. So we did. We withheld beverages about 2.5 hours before he went to sleep. Right before he went to sleep, we gave him a chance to use the restroom. He went potty, he emptied his bladder, and then we put him on the cloth diaper, and I set the tone. I let him know that he's going to go to sleep in his cloth diaper, but he's going to have to keep it dry. I let him touch it and feel what a dry diaper or underwear feels like, so that he will know this is how, I want it to feel when you wake up, if you can. So after I set the tone and explained to him that I know you can do this, you've done so great with your daytime potty training, we're going to continue it at night. This is just the second part of it, and I know that you can do it. We read our nighttime book, and then he went to sleep. I want to say about 5 hours after he went to sleep, I woke him up in the middle of the night and carried him to his potty, which was in the same room as us. I made sure that I kept the potty inside of the bedroom so that I didn't have to expose him to any unnecessary lighting or, go too far. I just picked him up out of the bed, set him on the potty, and he was not happy. He cried, he fussed, he was not happy. He did go potty. It was just this much. It was such a small amount that I really felt like it was worthless, it wasn't needed. So then I went ahead and, I told him, great job. I put him back to sleep. It didn't take long for him to go back to sleep. He went right back to sleep instantly because he was really tired. He really didn't want me waking him up in the first place. Noah sleeps anywhere from 10 to 12 hours at night. Sometimes it's 10 hours. Sometimes it can go up to 12 hours. And then whatever sleep he lacks throughout the night, he gets during the day with a nap. 14 hours is a good amount of time for a child to sleep per 24-hour period. When Noah woke up the next morning, he was completely dry. He stayed dry throughout the night without any accidents. So of course, I offered him a lot of praise. I also gave him a sticker to put on his sticker chart, and I let him pick out one of his favorite treats from our treat bucket. What I did was got a basket and put a lot of Noah's favorite snacks, all of his favorite types of candies or chips or cookies or crackers, and I put those inside of a basket. And I made sure I picked the ones that he normally doesn't have often, and I put them in there so that every time he had success in his potty training journey, he could pick a treat from his treat bucket. So we did that, and then we continued with our daytime potty training. That night, we set the tone again to let him know how we expected him to behave if he needed to use the restroom. I let him know that it's okay to wake me up if you have to use the restroom, but I was not going to wake him up this night. I had no intentions on waking him up in the middle of the night. If he woke up because he needed to use the restroom, then of course I would, help him go to the restroom, because either he's gonna wake up because he needs to use the restroom, or he's gonna use the restroom on himself, and he's probably still gonna wake up because it's uncomfortable and we're gonna need to change him. So toddler waking up on their own in the middle of the night to let you know that they have to go potty, that's completely okay, and that's what we want them to do if they have to use the restroom. But if we can, it's best to avoid waking them up in the middle of the night. We want them to be able to learn on their own what it feels like when they need to wake up and use the bathroom, so that they can get used to getting up and letting us know. If they don't wake up and they just go throughout the entire night without wetting the bed, then that's wonderful as well. So on day 2, we didn't put Noah on the cloth diaper. Instead, we put him on underwear. That was the first time we put him on underwear during the potty training process. We wanted to introduce it to him the following day through our daytime potty training, but again, I decided to remove the cloth diaper so that he can feel that dampness in case he did have an accident, so that he can get the idea of waking me up if he needs to go to the restroom. When Noah woke up the next day, he was completely dry. He did not want the bed. He went his completely full 10-hour sleep schedule without wetting the bed. Again, we withheld his beverages about 2.5 to 3 hours before he went to sleep, and gave him the opportunity to empty his bladder right before he went to sleep. So night number 2 was a success. Every night after that, we have had complete success with Noah's nighttime potty training. I would say that the biggest thing is just making sure that they were ready. Noah was ready. He was able to communicate with us, and he had success during his daytime potty training. So those are really important. Daytime potty training success, setting the tone, timing, being patient, and being confident. We were confident in him, which made him confident in himself. We continue to set the tone, and we continue to praise him, encourage him, and reward him, so that he actually wanted to conquer this just as much as we wanted him to. So that's completely important. Hopefully, by following those tips that I gave you guys early in the video, and by getting an idea of how our nighttime potty training routine went, you can try to apply these same principles in your nighttime potty training routine, and hopefully you too will have success, so that you too can get some well-needed sleep. I really hope that this video was helpful, and I encourage you again to check out my other potty training videos in this series. And I will also leave a link below in the description box to my blog. I have a ton of potty training blog articles and resources that you can check out, and an even more in-depth nighttime potty training guide. Definitely check that out. It'll be in the description box below. Again, I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, I would love to hear from you. So please do comment and share below. And if you would like to have more videos like this on your feed, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, so that you will be notified the next time I post a video. I will be posting videos once per week, all things motherhood and parenting and lifestyle. So again, I would love to have you here. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time.